Welcome to another episode of Stack and Scale. I'm Brandon Rudlinger, and today we are talking about how to consume content at scale. Our guest today walks us through how to set up an AI workflow that helps us organize and summarize content and delivers it to us in a weekly digest. So our inboxes are not so cluttered. So if you're like me, you're probably subscribed to a lot of newsletters, a lot of Substacks, and it can be overwhelming and it can clutter your inbox and you can end up missing a lot of the content that you want to consume. So today's guest is Sophie Buonassisi, the SVP of Marketing over at GTM Fund, and she also is the SVP of Marketing at the media arm of GTM Fund, which is called GTM Now. So they have an awesome newsletter. Go subscribe to it, and they have an awesome podcast, and they do a lot of great content on social as well. So with that said, I'll kick it over to Sophie, and she's going to walk us through how to build everything that you need to help just organize your content, summarize it all, give it to you nice and neatly, package it up in a weekly digest so your inbox is a little bit less crowded and you can keep up with all the content that you are subscribed to. All right, so without further ado, here's Sophie. Sophie, welcome to Stack and Scale.
Thank you. Great to be here. Big fan of the show.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Well, okay, well, let's dive right in. Tell the audience what you're going to build today.
Yeah, you bet. I'm going to show you how to build a newsletter analyst using Lindy, which is a prompt to agent tool.
Nice. I love it. I love it. And yeah, I hadn't heard of Lindy before you introduced it to me maybe even like a month ago, or maybe 2 months ago or so. But yeah, I love this idea. I love this concept. Why don't you just dive right in and show us?
You bet. You bet. So the context here, and I'm sure people may be using, out of the box tools for this and so forth, but it's really important to be able to create content, to also be able to consume content. And so what this is really focused on is the ability to consume a lot of content at scale and understand the relevance behind it. Because at the end of the day,
I get big time like content FOMO. It's like there's so much that I want to consume, and then I open tabs and I forget to come back to tabs, and so this is going to be just a much better way to sort through it all and actually consume it all.
Exactly. Yeah. I think I'm subscribed to about 56 newsletters. So time is finite,
Yeah.
24 hours a day. Simply cannot consume that many. And this is a way of me being able to consume more content, or anyone being able to consume more content to be able to create even better content. So we'll dive right in.
Okay.
But in the left-hand side here, there's a prompt. I've just generalized it so that anyone can edit it. We can show this afterwards. So essentially, We're instructing our AI to be a newsletter analyst. It's going to search our inbox for everything labeled newsletter in Gmail, a Gmail user. So what this looks like, you could set it up automatically. I prefer to personally label each one. So I'll just throw any newsletter that's relevant into that label. It then goes in and searches and analyzes. You could also set that up automatically.
So as soon as you subscribe to a newsletter, then in your Gmail, you tag it with the newsletter label.
Exactly.
And then this will grab. Okay, got it. That makes sense.
You got it. Yeah. So what we'll do here is we'll build this by just copying and pasting it into our tool. But we're going to ask it to analyze them and then give us a digest, essentially. So this is going to be the workflow that we build. We've got a clean tab open here. So we've copy and pasted our prompt. We're going to simply just copy and paste it. Because these are placeholders, I'm going to delete them for now because it's going to get confused otherwise. But what this placeholder is, and you can see it on the left here a little bit more clearly, is the ability to prompt it to tag certain actions for you to take so that you can see them with ease. So for example, a couple of my tag use cases are, if it's marketing related, it's going to tag Sophie Deep Dive, because I want to personally deep dive through that article and better understand it. If it's really tactical go-to-market information from a couple different creators or companies, then it might tag it to assess whether we should include it in the GTM Now newsletter as additional eyeball content, and so forth. So you can tag it however you'd like. If it's PR-related material, I usually tag that specifically because I like to go through that and triage and understand what's going to be most relevant for portfolio companies as we just overall package information that's relevant to them. So you can make it whatever is most helpful for you. I'm going to delete it right now just for this use case. And all we're going to do is hit build. And now our handy chat is going to come up. And it's just going to ask us a few questions that's going to enable us to proceed with the build process itself.
Yeah, building things these days is so easy. It's wild that all it takes is a nice prompt like this, and you get something
Exactly.
cool back. Okay.
All right. So we're going to say build the agent. Yeah. And now we're in the agent builder. So we've gone from chat to agent builder. You can always curate your chat a little bit more before you click build, just to make sure you've got it in a good place. Since we already have this built out, we are going to proceed with the build itself. And it's going to ask a couple quick clarifying questions here. So it's asking Gmail setup. Do you already have Gmail connected to Lindy, or do you need to authenticate it? I'm going to say yes, because I do already have it connected. Digest delivery, how would you like to receive it?
Is connecting your Gmail pretty? Is it just OAuth right into your Gmail?
Exactly. Just a simple
Okay,
sign-in
good. That's
authentication.
easy now. I don't think anyone needs a walkthrough on that. So perfect, great.
You bet. You bet. And then it's asking, how would we like to receive it? So you can get Slack message, any other message. I'm going to say email. And then the third question it's asking, just to clarify, is the labeling system. So I want to search the newsletters label. Do you already have this label set up, or should the agent work on an existing label that you have? I'm going to say already set up. And then I'm just going to click enter. And now it's
All
going
right,
to go
let's
ahead and
see.
build our workflow. And this is actually really nice. It rolled out, I believe it was August 4th, but it's Lindy 3.0. So I was a user before that, and I was actually manually configuring each step. So you've got a flow editor. You could simply add any step that you want, configure your agent accordingly. Now, as of August 4th, you can actually just type. So now it's prompt to agent, which makes things way more efficient. It was
Yeah, no
really,
kidding.
really helpful before, but now this is definitely a game changer.
And they need some marketing help, because I would come up with a better name than 3.0. Or maybe they do have another name other than 3.0.
I could be getting it wrong.
Oh, okay. Well, and that means they still need some marketing help.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So now it's built in the initial version. It's asking some additional clarifying questions just to make sure everything is looking good. It's asking for workflow
Nice.
information. Do we want it every day at 9 a.m.? We are going to say, yes, this is the correct flow. It's going to search every 2 days, 9 a.m. It's going to search for newsletters label. It's going to process and analyze that newsletter content, extract titles, sources, data, or dates, main links, and then go through it and surface it via email for us in a nice digest. So we're going to
Nice.
read it. Yep, all looks good. Is this the workflow you want me to build? Yes, this is correct. Brilliant. And then we can see the build here as it finishes.
There we go.
And so essentially what we've just done, it's the same version we kind of looked at before, is we've just set up a recurring schedule for it to check our inbox and send us a digest of any newsletters. This is really interesting because you can do this for anything in your inbox. You can get it to set up, podcasts too. It can overall go and scrape RSS feeds. It can go and extract transcripts. So you can have a podcast consumption, a newsletter consumption. I'm actually working on my podcast one right now, so we'll have to come back and demo it
Nice.
another time.
Yes.
But
I'm a
overall,
huge podcast guy too.
yes, there we go. And that way you can also understand, what is most relevant to deep dive on in greater detail beyond just the title that surfaced. So essentially now, every 2 days or whatever prompt that you want to give it, you can receive a digest of all the relevant newsletters that you subscribe to based
Nice.
on any criteria that you want. So you can rank them by relevance. You can ask for any kind of deep dives, cross newsletter patterns, things that are surfacing. And then you can keep refining your prompt, which is the best part. So anything that you want to keep updating, I'm constantly just tweaking and adjusting things to be able to surface the
good.
best information and tag them appropriately.
Yeah, great point. Okay, show us how to go and edit that prompt. Where would you go to say, you know what, maybe I'm going to adjust it a little bit. I want it, filtered this way or whatever. So you go back to, obviously, Lindy.
Yeah, so you could click into whichever process that you want to edit.
Okay.
Just
Oh,
zoom
and it's
in
just
a
right
little
there.
bit.
It's just the prompt right there on the right.
The reason that I personally resonate with this as a marketer is it's very similar to Zapier workflow style, which most people are familiar with building in. So this is, a workflow editor. You can drag around, you can edit individual steps. So if we wanted to adjust our prompt, we would simply just write into the newsletter content area, paste in our adjusted prompt. We can give our Lindy skills. We can also give it memory. Or you can also chat with it, which is the nice part too.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, super, super handy. You can see all the configuration here. So we've got a recurring
Actually, I
schedule.
love that because so many times I'm like, oh, I read this newsletter or I listened to this podcast about they made a point about XYZ. I forget which podcast it is. And I'm guessing you could go back and say the guests were talking about building a moat with AI, blah blah blah. And which podcast was that, or which newsletter was that?
Exactly.
Okay, I love that part.
Yeah. You can even change the signature if you want. But the use case and how I kind of bake this into my actual workflow is every 2 days I've got a block where I'm going through content that I'm getting surfaced essentially. So I'll go through each newsletter that's going to be most relevant. I'll then triage it into the appropriate process. Same thing with podcasts. So I'll get that digest eventually once I've finished building it. Right now I am looking through them manually, but I will get that digest and be able to understand which ones I want to save for particular times or the next, 48 hours or so and deep dive on them.
So when they land in your inbox, do you automatically just have them archived so that they're not filling up your inbox? Otherwise, your inbox is going to be like still super cluttered with just all this content.
Yeah. So I think you actually touched on it well at the beginning. Essentially, whenever I subscribe to a newsletter, I'll then go into my Gmail and tag that sender as the label newsletter and get it to send to the label newsletter. So anytime I'm then receiving newsletters from that sender, they get
In your
auto
inbox.
classified.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
For some new ones, they'll still come in and I'll just manually hit label. I do kind of like to see some sometimes because I'm just interested right in the moment. So sometimes I tag them, sometimes I don't. It's a personal preference. But if you wanted to archive all of them to your label, you could definitely set that up in Gmail. Just a normal Gmail filter setting.
Nice. I love this. I love it. Yeah, now I'm trying to think of what other ways can I use this? Yeah, obviously podcasts and newsletters. I'm sure there's so many different ways we could use this, right?
Yeah, and it could be, getting inspiration if you've got your own podcast, for example, and there's any relevant topics, you could have it scrape and particularly pull stuff that's relevant to Stack and Scale or to anybody's listings podcast, anything of the sort. You can really, really have it surfaced kind of on a whim whenever you want.
Nice. I love it. Cool. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
And
Hopefully
yeah,
it's
for the
helpful for people.
listeners, yeah, absolutely. And for the listeners, yeah, we'll have the template there that Sophie shared in the beginning, and you can go in and copy and paste and get going on building your own Lindy workflow.
Awesome.
All right, you ready for rapid fire?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, what is your current AI tech stack that you use for marketing?
Oh gosh. Okay. So we're a very AI forward organization. We've integrated AI essentially across all of our processes. We've outlined exactly what they are, what makes sense under each kind of area to up level. And then we've got kind of a matrix without overcomplicating it, but just of a progression of AI maturity. And so at the organization level, we've done things like build a custom GPT that layers onto all of our proprietary data. And so I do use that for marketing sometimes, not always. There's a bunch of different use cases since it's all of our data. But that would be an example of the furthest sophistication that we have. And then we've got everything from, things that I'm building out that are more iterative, incremental efficiency gains, like the podcast one I'm building out to mirror the newsletter flow too. So workflow-wise, across the board, tools. The main tools that I use on the regular, ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, I typically rotate between the three just based on the task, based on what I'm finding is most effective. I do really enjoy Gemini actually for long form content in particular, which is just a personal preference. So
You mean like creating longer form content? You'll actually have
helping to edit long form content.
Oh, editing long form content.
Yeah, editing long form content. Obviously, Banana Nano, now that's rolled out for images, it's just fantastic.
Yes, I've been loving that.
Yeah, I'll use it even for just tweaking an image ever so slightly, and it's just incredible what it can do. Yeah. So we'll take an existing image, even a thumbnail that we've made for YouTube, and we'll run it through Banana Nano and create all these different variations of the thumbnail that we've manually created. So we've done kind of the input of the manual work, and then we'll iterate and slightly tweak it with Banana Nano.
Nice. Very good. I love
Yeah.
it.
And then there's things more of just personal use cases like Lindy for custom agent builds. It's really where I've built most of my agents. Obviously, ChatGPT's custom GPTs, but I already mentioned ChatGPT, so they've got some incredible capabilities that I use there too. But I really use Lindy for brand monitoring, LinkedIn connection manager, Slack community manager, content analyzer, just a ton of different use cases. So just to break those down a little bit, brand monitor, of course, of just monitoring any kind of mentions that are relevant to our brand. I've got two set up. So I've got GTM Now, which is our media brand. I've got GTM Fund, which is the venture firm. And that way I can keep a pulse on where we're appearing and what people are saying.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. I like
Yeah.
that.
LinkedIn
Everyone
Connect.
can use that one.
For sure. Yeah, that's a really good use case. LinkedIn Connection Manager, that's to help automate the process of understanding who our connections are from our newsletter subscribers through to our LinkedIn connections. So it can see and tell, are we already connected with them? If so, who on the team is connected with them? And that way we can take the appropriate steps to make sure that we're bringing people into our ecosystem across multiple different channels.
Very good.
Yeah, Slack Community Manager is, I don't know about everyone listening, but you might be in a lot of Slack communities. I myself am in a good handful. I think it's over 10, and I certainly don't actively check all of them as much as I would love to. And so what I've done is just created a workflow where essentially it monitors all the different Slack instances and communities that I have and funnels it to my primary, which is GTM Fund. So I'll have a private channel with myself. It will share all the different kind of related news in other channels to me so that I can click out to them whenever appropriate.
Oh, interesting. Okay. That's really interesting because, yeah, having a lot of different clients that I'm working with too, that's one of the things I'm terrible at. And I tell my clients this too, because I have a bunch of different clients, I'm in all their Slacks. If you don't directly tag me in a DM, like even if you try to tag me in the channel, I'll miss it sometimes. So this seems like that would be super helpful, at least for me. I'm sure others
Yeah.
too, but.
Definitely. Even, I mean, clients, communities, anything, it's so tricky to stay on top of all the different Slack
It's
communities.
too
So it's
much.
nice to
It's
have
too much.
everything consolidated.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah. Content analyzer, that one I'm still iterating on to get it into an even better place, but it's been a really important one that we built out recently. Essentially, any piece that we create under GTM Now, we love to thread other content into it to then create a more holistic view for our audience, because people are really looking to understand the space, what related content is there that's going to feed well into it. So it'll flag any information, whether we've published it or whether someone in our ecosystem, so somebody that we subscribe to, has created content that's related. And that way we can assess and analyze whether it makes sense to incorporate into the actual main topic piece itself as a link out to further dive into that specific area.
Nice.
Those are a couple examples, but ultimately I think of AI use case broken up into 3 areas for myself, at least in its consumption, creation, and efficiency. So no matter what workflows I'm building out, they're all categorized under those and just really triaging them. So consumption, obviously, similar to what we demoed today, understanding the content that is being surfaced. There's so much great content out there. So being able to consume it at scale, yeah, and really internalize the learnings. The creation process, which is, of course, the output of content. So that's helping to support with yes, the editing process, but also the strategy process. I do use AI as a strategy partner a lot of the time for our content calendar and understanding what's going to be most resonant, or even asking it to poke holes in the strategy overall.
Yep. I love it.
And then the efficiency part, which, most things roll up to, but there's a lot of incremental operational things that we'll set up. Things like when we have a podcast episode, we've got a prep document, and we'll have, once we add someone new to our podcast list in Airtable, essentially it will push and create a new document. It will research that person, and then it will put that document into the Airtable. So that way it just is such a small incremental step, but makes a huge difference in your workflow and actual efficiencies, because those things just continuously compound.
Yeah. And I've got a custom GPT that does all that. Yeah, pre-production. Then after I chain the GPT to the post-production and have all
Perfect.
that. Yeah. But yeah, Lindy could also. You're using Lindy for that, right?
I'm using Lindy for that too.
For
Yeah.
that too. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I do have some more of my writing GPTs and editing GPTs are done in ChatGPT. A lot of the time, so I'll do custom GPTs there for more of the writing flow, the editing flow, but any operational areas I typically build through Lindy.
Nice. I love it. Cool. All right. Well, where this might be a loaded question here, but where do you go to keep up with all the latest in AI right now?
Yeah, there's so much great content out there, and
Yeah, there's a lot.
yeah, it's tricky. I find with the pace at which everything is moving, the best source is really the people and companies that are
Mm.
building and sharing that information, similar to
Yeah.
this channel. You know, I'm a big fan of anything that really breaks it down tactically. So I'll tune into YouTube channels like Stack and Scale and other ones. There's one under Lenny's podcast network that's really good too. It's a little bit more broad, but any information that really tactically breaks it down. And then creators. So people actually sharing what they're building. Kieran Flanagan, he's a good example of somebody I
Yeah.
follow in his work and actually interviewing him soon on it. But
Oh,
that
nice.
is, yeah, I'm excited for the conversation. But those,
Heck yeah.
those kind of just overall outward sharing of people that are actively building. And then the companies that are enabling and creating. So I'll join a lot of kind of builder boot camps and things like that just to stay up to speed. So anything that's overall a little bit more broad. So anything, they're more of a text to web app. So if you're looking to build more of the web app use case, they've got boot camps. I also joined Lindy boot camps. There's one next week, and there's a lot more creator focus next week. So those kind of things where you're being kind of guided through the process, and you're also able to see other people's demos and get inspiration from what people are building. Because I find the biggest gating factor to actual enablement oftentimes is imagination.
Yes. Yes.
Is
Exactly.
like, what is possible?
Yep.
And that has been extremely helpful overall from understanding what is possible, because I think the actual ability to build is now easier than ever. There's a lot of incredible tools to do so, but it really is understanding what is possible within my specific workflow, and then why that workflow. What is it going to do for me? So that's really been a helpful process for going through and analyzing and kind of assessing what makes sense on my end.
Yeah, I love that because yeah, people put out these prompt libraries or all these custom GPT, and a lot of it is I'm not actually going to just copy and paste it. It's let me just get an idea, and then how do I apply that to what I'm working on right now? And I never thought of using Lindy for all these other things too, right? It's just like the possibilities and helping you, yeah, stay creative and help figuring out what it is to help you gain that efficiency or create content or consume the content. So,
Totally. And I think of it almost like a content workflow itself. So treat it in the same kind of roadmap style, because it's super easy to fall prey to any kind of shiny object syndrome. There's so many cool
yeah,
things at our
exactly.
disposal. But at the end of the day, the KPI isn't necessarily AI adoption, it's output. And AI adoption enables output. So what I'll do is make a master list, kind of like a backlog of ideas and things that I find interesting, and then I'll pull them into the next kind of Asana board style where it's like, okay, I'm actually going to action these. Right now, I can pick 2 things a month to actually deep dive into and progress on a maturity curve wise. And then you've got the maturity curve of, am I dabbling with something? Is this incrementally helping me? Have I built something custom to actually enable it? Is it in my weekly workflow, daily workflow? How is this actually measuring? Because I think it's super easy to build or to try dabbling, but the really important part is it making you more efficient and effective?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Cool. All right, last question. What's your biggest challenge right now with AI?
Time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Time is finite. It is
It's
truly
never
the
enough.
the largest constraint. I would love to just spend one uninterrupted entire week building and learning. And I think
Yeah.
everyone would benefit from that. I hear people talking all the time. They're going through a transition for roles and they just want to take a break, not to just decompress, but purely to build and experiment with AI. So that would be the biggest kind of constraint that I have right now is time and overall
Yeah.
understanding what's going to be most effective. I think of it similar to the venture lens. Oftentimes you want to keep a macro understanding of the space and be able to recognize patterns that are going to be most effective when you're actually deploying capital and understanding which companies are going to surface within which categories. And it's the same thing. You want to keep like that macro trend of what's available with AI. But you also do need to actually be deploying in order to learn. You need to be hands-on. So just having more time to be able to do so is the largest constraint, I'd say.
Yeah, no, I think that's the same for so many. I talk to a lot of CMOs, I'm sure you do too, where it's like, I don't even have enough time to do my current job, let alone go out and learn all these new AI things that are coming out that everyone, at least all the content creators, like to show on LinkedIn or YouTube. It's like, great, cool, but I'm still way behind on my current to-do list for marketing. I can't do this AI stuff.
Yeah. And then I think there's a fun side of trying it, kind of like we talked about in dabbling, but then actually operationalizing it is a very different thing. So if you're a marketer in a larger organization, you're dabbling, you're trying things that might be for your personal use case, but if it's for your team and actually operationalizing it, that is an entire kind of maturity curve that you need to go through. It's quite time consuming, just like any rollout. It's very similar to any other kind of product adoption or process. So
That's right.
Really focusing. I think focus is going to be the superpower for a lot of people building right now.
Well said. Well, Sophie, I knew this episode was going to be amazing. Thank you so much for joining me. Where can people find out more about you and follow your content on Substack and your podcast and all that stuff?
Yeah, LinkedIn's a great place. I'm on LinkedIn. Also, we've got a newsletter on Substack.
One of my favorite ones out there.
Oh, thank you. It's called the GTM Now newsletter, and we've also got a podcast called the GTM Now podcast. So those three areas are the best ways to follow along and also get in touch.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Sophie.
Thanks so much, Brandon. This was a ton of fun.